We are just 1 week away from Pocket Monsters Linguini WI. I had to say it as wrong as possible. If you're anything like me, then you also hate spoilers, like with a burning passion. I've been clicking that little button that says don't recommend this channel on videos that have been putting spoilers for the new Pokemon game in their thumbnail and or titles, so if you're one of those people, then I'm sorry, but I'll probably never come across your content again. May this be a lesson to you. Something I do love, however, is light-hearted speculation. I realized after my Terraforms video, I haven't really done much Paldea focused content, and since we are in Generation 9, I thought it would be a lot of fun to make some Mega Evolutions for some of those Pokemon. For complete transparency, everything in this video is fake and not based on any spoilers or leaks, and anything that resembles official, unrevealed content is purely coincidental. The only thing I ask of you is that you keep this space a spoiler-free zone. I'm keeping my eye on you. Don't make me kick you into the sun. Alrighty, kicking things off, it is my first Paldean Mega Evolution, which will be Espathra. I have been wanting to draw something for this Pokemon for a really long time, so this is kind of exciting, not gonna lie. The hair took a while to decide a design direction for, to be honest, and because it was the first thing I drew, I didn't continue with my design until I had the entire head fully sussed out. This bulky mess is not working. I think I gotta start again with it. Attempt number 2 went swimmingly. Instead of doing the head on its own, I actually figured out the shape of the neck, which really helped me form a better shaped hairstyle. I thought it would actually look really cool to add a headpiece of some sort to, you know, give it a bit of bling and maybe make it a little more interesting to look at. I almost went in a fully Como-O direction, but when I started to see the similarities, I backtracked so that I could make something a bit more separated and unique to Espathra. Only makes sense. Honestly, this hair is really fun to draw. It took me a fair few attempts to really get the length that I wanted and to make the perspective right, since it does a lot of wavy curly things, but I got it looking good in the end. Now I can finally draw in the body, and thank God, because I'm a little over serving face. At first I was thinking the tuft of fur that appears at the base of its neck could be more fluffy and bitsy, but then really wasn't working, and I also came to realize that the neck was way too short, so I had to stretch it out. And now it's looking a bit more like Espathra. Alright, I'm starting to understand why it took me so long to draw this thing. For the tuft of fur, I kept the same design but added an extra tuft. 5 tufts. This is what it feels like to draw 5 tufts. I'm really seamless with my, what are they called? References. When I was drawing the body, it made me remember that Espathra is actually a bird, and sometimes it just gives chicken, like in a good way, if that's possible. I made the wings much larger with thinner and longer feathers at the end, and the legs are a bit skinnier and longer, giving the illusion of more height. Well, I guess if the legs are longer, then it's not an illusion, is it? It's just actually taller. Also, in its official artwork, Espathra has like the one leg up, one leg down thing going on, so I did the same here but just alternated the legs in question. The final thing to do, design-wise, was to add in its tail, which is really just like one wide flat curtain or a couple of towels just like hanging on a rack. It's very oddly shaped, but I'm kind of here for it, you know, it's kind of metal. I went in for some finer details. I gave it some neck spikes because how cool would that be? And then I put in the color. My main idea here is to sort of alternate Espathra's base colors, so I'm taking all the same ones but putting them in different spots on its body. Okie dokie, time for our girl Flamigo. And did you realize that it's based on a boxing glove? Bet you didn't, but you know now. I did my very best to expand on this concept, but honestly, my idea, she's going nowhere. And there just wasn't any meaningful way I feel like I could have expanded on Flamigo's boxing glove aesthetic. Copyright, trademark, all rights reserved. However, there is an interesting bit of lore that you can find out through its Pokédex entries. For instance, did you know that the reason Flamigo ties its neck into a knot is because it's constantly suppressing an enormous amount of power that it physically can't control from escaping through its mouth? Kinda messed up, and I kinda wanna draw it. I'm getting the sense that this could actually potentially be a better G-Max design, but I've committed to Mega Flamigo, so that's what I'm making. I've unknotted its neck and it's finally a free bird. Oh, she's tall and she's gonna have a glowing red beak so that you can really get a good sense of how much power is surging through it. I've kept the rest of its body largely the same, but I did give it a more visible tail, or honestly really just a tail in general. Like, why didn't it have one in the first place? Color-wise, I mean, it's flamingo colored, but I have given it some accents on the neck as those parts have probably been tied up for a while, and the tip of its beak will be glowing red instead of black like the original. I have also made its eyes completely red, as if the force of the Chunder is blinding it as we speak. I have made a note to myself in the sketch to remember to color the lines of the beak. That way we get the glowing effect without having to do a literal blur glow, which could potentially work in this design, but if I mess it up, it will look incredibly tacky. Big yikes. Alrighty, now we have a special design to finish things off. This is Mega Tatsugiri. I know Dondozo exists and sort of acts as a support for Tatsugiri, or the other way around, I'm not 100% sure on that one, but I used a Tatsugiri on its own during my playthrough of Scarlet and Violet, and she's really good. Like, I kind of love them so much, and I think giving them a form that buffs their BST by 100 would be absolutely broken in the most fun way possible. Now, my original idea was to stack them, but it looked really weird, so then I thought perhaps they could hang out next to each other, but then it didn't look like a form, and then I got stumped. You know, like a tree, and I had no idea what to do. And that's when I had a great idea. Tatsugiri is the faux dragon, as is said in the scripture, and it mimics a piece of sushi. You know what happens when you mix those two things together? You get dragon roll sushi, and that's why my Mega Tatsugiri is going to be a dragon roll sushi. My idea is very Kangaskhan in the sense that the Mega Evolution won't feature a major difference in design, and instead I'm just going to unite the three fishy varieties so that they can hit as a group. I made a super awesome action pose for the trio, and then I drew in 3 pieces of dragon roll lookalike sushi for them to be positioned on. The colors are all as you would expect. I did have to come up with some of my own colors for the sushi parts since it's the only unique part of the form, so for the actual fish I copied what already existed. The only tricky thing was probably getting the patterns to look correct, since I was just drawing them all in a different perspective to their official artwork. Now that that's all done, I would say normally that it's time to take a look at our final Mega Evolved Paldean Pokemon, but in last week's video, I showed off a design that I started and didn't end up finishing for the video, and honestly, a lot of you guys enjoyed and appreciated seeing that little bonus Pokemon, which surprised me a little bit. I just thought, you know, my flops are my flops, but if you guys really like that, then I do actually have a design for this video that didn't quite make the final cut, but I did finish the design, so let's just quickly take a look at that. So the first Pokemon I actually drew for this video was Arboliva. Normally when doing these videos I draw in Pokedex order, that's why Arboliva is first. Initially I found it smooth sailing, I gave it larger leaves on the head and I had a good pose in mind, but then I stumbled when it came to drawing in the large olive branches since I wasn't really sure how to approach them in a way that I could make them look even larger and better than they already do. I also wasn't 100% sure how to attach them to my main body once I was done with them, but after multiple attempts, I settled on a different direction. You see, I had given it this sort of mermaid look through the way I drew the body and wondered if it could look cool for Arboliva to take on a more kelp seaweed design rather than the typical land tree branches. And then with that design, I could tie it into the mermaid aesthetic and make it a grass water type. So that is exactly what I did, and when I colored the design in, I even added accents of aqua and gave the olives a green tinge. That way they could resemble seaweed pods or sea grapes rather than olives. Once the design was done, I was really happy with it, but then as I developed the other designs and wrote all the stats up and such, I took another look at the design and its concept and thought that, you know what, perhaps this would have been a better convergent emergent Pokemon or regional variant. It just seemed like it was too much of a departure from the original Arboliva to warrant it being a mega evolution, so I shelved it. But if you're curious, here is the info sheet I made up for it. Anyways, it is time to finally take a look at my final designs for the Paldea Mega Evolutions. Firstly, we have Mega Espathra, a psychic dark type with the ability Justified. To Mega Evolve, it uses the Espathrite. I've given it a significant buff in special attack and also a little buff in attack, defense, and special defense. Due to its psychic dark typing, it now has a standard defense against dark type moves, which is perfect when facing against opponents who, you know, forget about the type change, as Justified will have its attack going up with each hit. Next, it is Mega Flamigo, which becomes a pure fighting type. To Mega Evolve, it uses the Flamigite. Its ability, Analytic, will boost the power of its moves when it goes last in a turn. This is good news considering Flamigo's speed has completely tanked in result of it needing to stay very still and steady so that it doesn't lose control of the enormous power that it is releasing. That humongous buff and attack will for sure make it a force to be reckoned with. And finally, it is Mega Tatsugiri, which stays as a dragon water type and Mega Evolves using the Tatsugrite. It also has a brand new ability, Triple Dipper. With this ability, Tatsugiri will hit 3 times and then it will dip into its sushi rolls during alternate turns. This is called being dipped. It's pretty similar to any general move cooldown period, except it will only take half damage while dipped. At the cost of some speed, it sees small buffs in its physical stats whilst receiving most of its extra stat points in its special stats. I think it would probably be best to return any ground, rock, fire, or dragon type Pokemon that you have on the battlefield when this thing shows up. Alrighty, those are all of my fan-made Mega Evolutions for some really random Paldean Pokemon. I hope you like them. Please let me know your favorites in the comments below. I always love hearing what you think, even if you don't like them. It's interesting to hear the criticism, so I say. Please subscribe to my channel. I upload new videos every single Friday or Saturday if you live on Mirage Island, just like me. Enjoy Legends ZA. I realize the next time we see each other, it'll already be out, so have fun playing the new game. Okay, bye-bye!